growth operating is dead. But my incubator students, like William, made his creator $330K per month last month, and he took home $20K himself. Podcast coming soon. Or another incubator student, like Harry, he closed a $7.5K setup fee from his creator around 2 weeks ago, and now is soon to have an insane launch with him. And with myself, I was able to clear over $42K per month with not growth operating, and also then clear another $113,000 in revenue and $45.3K cash collected in a month when I was also not growth operating. Because instead, we realized we were doing something else called growth integrating. So today, after much deep research, I'll show you how this model is significantly better than this outdated growth operating type of thing. And if you're a high-ticket remote sales rep, an info copywriter, a marketing sales/agency owner, or coach or consultant, you'll pretty much be on a path to make 50 grand a month in no time with this growth integrating model. And at the end, I'm going to show you a way on how you can get an entirely free course on this growth integrator model to get started today. So let's begin with what even this growth integrator model is. But first, to understand that, you have to get, well, why that growth operator term never made sense in the first place. So if you guys look at companies, okay, think of something like a Subway or Wingstop. All right, so we got Subway here, and then we got, actually Wingstop is also green. So these companies, they have what are called operators. And these operators, they operate the stores. They have their Subways and they have their Wingstops. Okay, cool. Awesome. And so the thing is though, they're called operators, right? Now you're wondering okay, well, what does operations do? I'll break it down for you. Operations at the high level view is just the state of maintenance when something or a business or anything of a nature, they get to a certain point of growth and that operator stays at that certain point. And so if you think of something like a Subway or a Wingstop, these people that are operating those stores or McDonald's or something, they have the store and they're running it. Cool. But then who does the growing of the company? Is it these guys? Is it the operators? Do they go and create the advertisements on their TVs? The McDonald's sexy, oh, this burger looks super nice. And obviously the burger's squished and it doesn't look that good. But those advertisements, who makes those? Right? It's Subway and it's Wingstop. And then also who does the new product launches? Oh, we got the new Crunch Wrap at Taco Bell, or we have the new flavor at Wingstop. Who does that? It's Subway corporate, right? And so now you're okay, so if these guys are operators and called operators and they just maintain the state of the business, then as this growth operator, am I doing that? And so then if we look at IT, if we look at well, what is operations? There's really 4 departments. And then this will all lead back together. So if you're a little bit confused, then don't worry. There's IT, there's the finance department, and there's the customer success department, and there's the HR department. So cool. Okay, got it. So what do these departments do? Well, the IT department, what it does is it's go ahead level or type form. It maintains the state of the business, or it maintains the information technology. So information technology, that's why combined it's called IT. It maintains that state for the business of maintaining its information through technology. So for us, think of go ahead level or type form or ManyChat or things like that. Okay, so cool. We got that. And then for the finance department, that's my accountant. Or let's say you hire an accountant agency, your CPA, someone who optimizes your taxes. That's what the finance department of the business is. Or for big businesses, it's a CFO in that business. Cool. And then for CS, it's customer success. So managing the space of, let's say for instance, your customers, a CSM in our industry, something like an AE in the tech world, so an account executive, things like that. Okay. And in HR, that's hiring, and then there's management. So the bringing up of the employees, bringing them together and managing them, helping them grow into the company to reach higher points. Cool. And so if we think through the story of how this term even got invented, there was one main guru, right? We don't want to talk about it, but there's one main guru that talked about this model a lot and was growth operator. And that's who really made it pop. And so then what was his incentive though, at the end of the day? It was to make it sound super oversimplified to the point where people like you or people like you who probably now realize that this model is not as easy, you're like, oh shoot, this is not what this is. And so why did he call it operator? Because as an operator, that's what you're doing. You're doing initially that customer, or that's what he would say. It's like, oh, it's just customer success. Oh, you're just launching a community. And then basically you're just like this glorified CSM. And so that's why this word initially, because I thought through this, I was like, why did this occur? Why was the market so uneducated or misinformed about this? That's why, like, if you guys probably found me from my 5-hour course, if you haven't, watch it now. It's like 31,000 views on my YouTube channel. I was able to then inform the market of like, guys, this is not it. Because I did this like a year before this model got popular. And so then people realized like, oh shoot, it's not this. And yet people still kept calling it. And unfortunately, from the trend, I ended up calling it too. Like that's what ended up happening. And so at the end of the day though, the word never made sense. Like as an operator or as a growth operator, are you really just doing the customer success part? No, right? And so cool, then we got that word. So then operations is when the business maintains its state. Great. So then what is growth? The words are literally opposing each other when they're next to each other, because something like growth, it means like what is growth? Okay, so marketing, sales, fulfillment, and then operations. This is how I perceive business. There are 4 departments, or there are 4 really main key components that just run a business, right? It's marketing, sales, fulfillment, and operations. Great. And so with the marketing, like what grows a business? It's you marketing it, so letting a lot of people know it. Sales, it's then taking that attention of people knowing it and then converting it to cash, and then fulfillment, actually going and delivering on the promises that you set on the marketing and the sales part. Great. And so these grow business. Like when you look at Subway or Wingstop, because these guys are the operators, they maintain that state. When you look at Subway and Wingstop, who are the ones that are creating that marketing material on TV, as I showed you earlier, or they're the individuals that are, I guess that marketing material then ends up bringing the people into the cashier register, where those systems, who built them? Who built the systems to collect that cash? Well, it's freaking Subway corporate and Wingstop, not the freaking operators. Right? And then afterwards, who fulfills? Who creates the new products like the Crunchwrap, or have you guys seen, I don't know, this new 6-foot like sidekicks at Subway, right? Who creates that? Subway. And Wingstop corporate, not the freaking operators. And so then, if we know that growth is like on one side of the spectrum, operator is another side, like why did these words ever get next to each other? So why are you using that word? You see what I mean? It never made sense. And then the main guru's not talking about it anymore. Like, check his profile. So, like, what? Really? You're going to keep using this word that never made sense, that the main guru legit abandoned, and then you think you're cool, like, using it. And imagine, like, if you went to a creator, okay? If you went to a creator right now, and you're like, hey, I'm a growth operator. Do you think the creator will have any positive connotation about you? Even like when you're outreaching, or when you originally outreach to get your creator right now, like what did they say to you when you said you're a growth operator, right? Like, are you starting to get the picture on like how dumb this word is, and like why you using it just never made logical sense in the first place at all? Okay, great. So we got that. So if we do look at what you are actually doing, what are you doing? So as the growth, well, previously called operate, but like just fundamentally what you're doing, you're going to these creators, and most precisely, you're not just doing a community for them. What are you doing? You are helping them market, you're helping them sell, and then you're helping also build out their core offer. That's it. Or optimizing their offer. And so then what do these departments of the business do? First of all, they grow the company. Okay, so that word made sense. But then I was like, now you're not operating here at all. So then how do we reperceive what we're doing here? And so this is where I learned this term integrator. I was like looking through these different words to make sense of this. And the definition of an integrator is right here. It's someone who, like beyond business, just that word integrator is when it's literally what it's called, combining, integrating parts of a whole together, and then for some sort of purpose. And so if you look at then how that looks in a business context, it's integrating different departments, bringing them together as an individual who brings them together to lead it, and then for some sort of purpose. And so over here, now what you're doing is you're just integrating departments that grow the business. So like operating, marketing, and sales. Offer, marketing, and sales. And so then what does that look like? Well, now that makes sense. Okay, so now we're growth integrating. So you see like where this word just from first principles makes significantly more sense. Okay, got it. And then boom, the departments of the company that actually grow the business. And so if you look at the top people that are doing this, they call it this too. Like if you're like, oh, is this just something that Tim made up? Like, no, it's because they did deep research on the space, on just this overall information space and like where this came from. Because transparently, like for me too, I've only been in this for like 2-ish years, right? So I'm not like this old, OG. I'm like only 20 years old. So like I'm here with you guys also, like looking through, well, like how do we perceive this space? How do we keep growing, right? And so if you want to see someone who's been doing it for like 10 years, we could click on this video right here, Sam Ovens and Nick Fisher. Okay, so obviously you guys know Sam Ovens, like the main person that made School, whatever. But then, you see this guy right here. So he was like one of the OG employees at consulting.com, okay? And I heard about him through, so I was in Thailand and I actually met with one of the consulting.com employees live. And I was like, oh shoot, like how's the company there? How's it working there? And like he was there when they like hyperscaled, right? And he was telling me about like Nick Fisher and like what he was doing there. So I was like, okay, who's this guy, right? And then I went through his stuff, I went through his funnel, and then I found this right here. So he has a Gexa intelligence, and what does he do? What does he do? Okay, so you guys can watch this Webby. It'll break it down. If you look at this URL, whatever, you'll find it somewhere, right? Just look up a Gexa intelligence. So what he does is after he went from being Sam Ovens' employee, okay, the consulting.com, eventually Sam focused on School, and then he went to guess what? Going and growth integrating for other creators, for other experts more precisely. And so guess what he calls it as well? Because this is him now going from, he's like, this is Webby to explain like his background, like what he's been doing. So over here, he's explaining his model. Boom, he's like, step one, go to, I'll show you, step one, boom, build a bulletproof offer. This is like one of his case studies. I think he is a real estate offer, right? Boom. And develop a USP, hire fast. Okay, this is mistakes that he made. But then boom, these are the different channels that these creators are on, what he was talking about. And then boom, run the DM funnel, like literally what we're doing. And then boom, thousands of SOPs, or he's now like pitching what he's built out for the past years. And then over here, it's like a Q&A, classic Webby stuff. But then over here, what is he doing? He's talking about how, oh, you're not the expert, but you want to publish these experts. And what does he call them? Integrators. You see? And so now you're like, oh, okay, so this is not just him making this up. Like this is what it's been called now for years and years and years. This growth integrating model. Cool. And so then, now that you understand this new term is the growth integrator term, I'll now further explain like what is the best way to go about this, because like I also thought through this word and how it would live through longevity, not just with the trends of what's going on right now, but how we as a community can really, because like this space, it just emerged, right? And I did help build it, but now I'm like, I want to be the leader and like help all of us grow together. And so how do we go about doing that? Well, currently right now, our space, we're just focused on more of these creators because this is where the marketplace is right now. But the word itself, it's fundamentally like quite general. It reaches out a broad spectrum of fundamentally, it's just you going to businesses, helping them integrate the parts of the business that grow and then integrating into that company and growing it into a partnership model. And so then, great. That's cool. But now, like, why does this matter? It's because it allows us to TAM out, not just across like, oh, all of this growth integrating, or all, not just creators, but businesses overall, because it's not business agnostic. And so I've seen like growth integrators in the space of something like, I don't know if you guys know Nick Cosman. Okay. He's like kind of dead right now, but basically he was like one of the OGs that was doing this stuff. Okay. And so for him, like the first thing that he would do was he went to like these different tech companies and then he helped them scale like really fast through sales processes and things like that. Cause he was a door-to-door salesperson when he started. Right. But then as he got better and better, what he did was, so door-to-door. And then as he got better, he then went to these tech companies and he helped them scale. And so like one of his case studies was Copilot, some sort of tech, I think enterprise B2B tech. Right, cool. And so that did well for him. But like, what was he doing when he went to these companies? He integrated for them a new offer, marketing channel for Facebook ads, or no, he did outbound, and then sales, and he closed deals for these people. So like, he went to a tech company and this growth integrating model. You see what I mean? And so this isn't just specific to creators, but these days I really still do like going to these creators because it's just so capital efficient for the amount of attention that you could get with the lack of needing to extend, capital to identify product market fit. Rather with these creators, you're able to just boom, like nail product market fit immediately and then scale. Okay, so great. That's like one lever that we want to use with creators. But then in the future, as I'm saying, we can go to these other companies and then do this growth integrating model as well. Cool. So what about how this growth integrator model now ties in with how the marketplace is also going today? This is the shit that y'all gotta be worried about. And like transparently for myself too, like I'm worried about it as well. In a good way, because then that concern allows me to grind. Like, so if I'm worried about it, y'all should be like worried about it. And so if we look at something like what's going on here. So Alex Hormozi recently, he was talking about how in one of the portfolio companies, I was watching a podcast that he did, and he was talking about how in one of the portfolio companies, they're triaging, they're closing in one of the portfolio companies. They've entirely automated it with AI voice agents and AI text agents. You see? And so now you're like, oh, even I'm fucked. Because like you guys probably, let's say for instance, right now you're trying to get into this growth integrating space. Or number two, you've already launched a few creators. Okay. You now understand that like when you did that launching, you're setting, you're closing, and you're doing all this stuff manually. And sure, maybe you had some high level automation, some Zap automations, whatever. But the thing is, you're now like, oh, even I'm replaceable. So then the paradigm here that you have to think through is like, number one, wake the fuck up, realize that you have to learn this stuff fast. Number two, then, also in the product side, you'll be integrating AI, but I'll talk about that example later. So now you're probably wondering like, okay, well, what do I do to not frick myself in this new AI revolution? Well, let me tell you, it's not all these AI components, not all these AI systems, integrations that are going to take your job or take your role. It's people, it's growth integrators that know how to use this AI, know how to integrate these systems into these companies. And whilst on top of them integrating themselves, that is then going to lead to, or it's those individuals, it's those growth integrators that know how to use this stuff that is going to take your job. And so this is where this new AI, GI, the AI growth integrator model comes in, where you have to learn this stuff rapidly and utilize this in the business. And so now you're probably wondering though, how the frick do I go about integrating this AI into my offer? How do I not screw myself in this new revolution? And so let me give you some examples over here, starting with Abdul. All right, so if y'all want to go over here to Tim Yoon, go ahead and look through my channel. If you want to go, this is where I break this down a lot more. Some bangers over here. So Abdul over here, he's my mentor when I started. I'm sure you guys know the story of making $48 million last year. That's what he did. And yeah, I got really lucky because he really mentored me. And so what did he do though? How did he integrate this AI? So one component that he did in one of his offers. So he had a Amazon KDP offer. Okay, KDP is basically Kindle publishing. It's like a BizOp mechanism where he's telling people like, hey, go ahead and start a business to start putting books up on Kindle and then publish them online, digital products. And you'll make 10K per month doing this. Okay, cool. So then that checks off. But now you're like, how does AI go into this? Well, what he did was he built an entire AI Kindle writer. So he has a tech team doing this for him. He built an entire AI Kindle book writer that he then would integrate into his fulfillment part of the business. Right? So that's the marketing, sales, fulfillment, operations. So like, boom, check. And he has a guru doing this. So he takes, or she takes 50%. And then Abdul over here, he takes 50%. And then where else is he integrating AI? This is where then in the future, because this was a few years ago, then over here, this is when he would start putting in those setters, so those closers into the offer that are built with AI. Or I guess triager is more so right now. And then over here, there's something like, this is what I'm looking at too, like Opus Clip AI. This is like where I'm starting to take my clips and then putting them through here to start pushing them out. You'll start seeing some clips on my Instagram. Go follow me on Instagram at TimHYoon if you haven't. All right. And so over here, boom, that's it. That's marketing. And so you have to integrate AI into all of these levels of your business to start not freaking getting screwed, or else you're going to die in this business. Okay, cool. So then this is where I told you about it earlier. You're fully doing that AI integration, the offer, marketing, sales, and not just some stupid community manager. So if you want to keep calling yourself a growth operator, that's fine. But do you really just want to think or have other people think of you, have the creators think of you as Discord and school mods? Really? Do you really, is that your offer really? Community management, really? And so since you're now doing this as a growth integrator, fully doing this with the business, you can charge like 30 to 50% of the company. By the way, this is where like our students are at. They have 30 to 50% of their business, of their creators' businesses. And so this is on your business's level. This is that marketing sales fulfillment on your level. But then that concept of in your fulfillment, this is now where their business lies, that MSFO inside of the MSFO. All right. And so this is now their business that you have to perceive instead of your business. You have to understand the whole system. And so now you're wondering like, okay, well, in the creators' fulfillment, what are they doing? How do I decommoditize myself across the other people in the space? And so this is probably not a problem you're facing right now, but I'll tell you that this is a problem you're eventually going to face, let's say when you do set a creator. Or if you have set a creator and you've already launched them, you probably already have found this problem. Okay. So, and also even on top of this, if you're just looking into the space, you're going to face this problem. So let me explain it to you and explain also what this growth integrator perception of this business does. Because once you start shifting your view of like, oh, I'm not just a community manager, you like start unlocking a whole field of different things. Okay. And so over here, instead of the commoditization of just integrating dumb little communities for them, since as this old geo, that's what you do. You just launch these communities. This in this marketplace now screws you. Because here's the thought process, right? If the creator makes a bag, you make a bag. Okay? And so the process is if they're just launching a little tiny community, a little low ticket, and even like if you position, this is the problem. Even if you go high ticket, okay, because this is probably your guys' paradigm. Like I'm gonna do high ticket. Even if you do this, if you position your product as just a community, people are not going to pay the creator a lot of money. That's a problem. You can maybe sell for like a K, 2K. Like really? Do you wanna, is this high ticket to you, bro? You know, I know an offer right now. They charge 20 grand. No, they charge 25 grand for their package. Don't you want that? Don't you want a $25,000 one time? Or I know another offer, they charge 36 grand. Okay? 36 grand for a year. Don't you want numbers like these? Instead of freaking, I don't know, at $500? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Abdul, for instance, for that KDP offer, he charged 12K. So there's a Webby that went to 2 grand and they instantly upsold to 12 grand. If you want to break down that offer further, it's over here. It's this last hour of this podcast. So definitely go watch it. This one's a banger. So you went from 2K to 12K instantly. So you're charging here 2K, 3K, and you think you're big shit. This is not high ticket, buddy. This is not. I got a little too hyped there. But you see what I mean? Cool. And so you're now like, how do I do this? It's because your perception of your business is screwed. This is why then you're not doing well. So now you're like, okay, it's not a community that I must launch with these traders. So what must I do? All right. So let me show you how the trend in this marketplace is going. So once you've now shifted your perception, because this growth integrator model, it gives you that ability to freaking leave yourself from the psyop of how this space originally started, how this main guru like psyoped you into thinking about this. And if you don't know what psyop means, it's psychological operation. It's when people, propaganda your ass from, let's say, like the America or China, like propaganding their citizens of their state. Okay, so propaganda aside, all right, let me show you how to really do this. As the growth integrator, so let's screw off with this growth operator model of just freaking launching a community. As the growth integrator model, okay, this is your business, right? The GI, marketing, sales, fulfillment, operations. Cool. On top of this, not only are you growth integrating, so growth integrating, it also is, let me break it down for you. So it is a noun as much as it is, so it's a noun as much as it is an adjective. So you're not like, huh? Like, what do you mean here? Let me explain. So as the noun, this is more so when you're doing the action of it, when you're like, I am a growth integrator. I'm the individual doing it. But also it serves as an adjective in the sense of, it's more of an ideology, because this in the word growth integrating, it never defines precisely that you are one individual, or I guess the word growth integrator does, but the word growth integrating never says that, because all you're doing or all this definition from first principles, all it is just you combining different departments of the business, and then those departments, it specifically helps their customers grow. But not even like just a part of a business, but it could be in like a fitness context. You combine parts of an offer. You combine parts of, let's say, I don't know, like a freaking like working out, okay? Like, what does it take to sell an outcome? It's not just you telling people to work out, or not just telling them to eat keto, not just telling them to do, I don't know, some sort of woo ha ha workout, right? It's a combination of those different departments of proper sleep, of proper exercise, of proper sleep, exercise, and diet, a holistic perception that then leads to the success of the individual. And so in your case, since you're selling growth, you're specifically selling results to these creators, you have to take leverage of all parts of their business, or most precisely, the parts that really pull the levers, which are the marketing, the offer, and the sales, and then grow the business for them. However, that word, growth integrating, let's say if you're even doing it for a business offer, the growth integrating offer itself can also be delivered in a consulting model, can also be delivered in different ways other than just you doing it hyper done for you. This is why, like, even if you're doing, let's say, for instance, I also heard about like this build and release model where people are talking about this. Like, that's cool. You know, it's not terrible, but the thought process there is like, you're just taking some sort of systems and then building and releasing it. And you're just sort of, spamming it out to these different customers. Okay, that's fine. But like, there's certain types of growth integrator individuals that do this build and release system. Because sure, you can just sell all these systems at once that just help with the content. But once again, what does that not do? That doesn't allow the customer to actually experience the growth that they need to. What does, let's say, for instance, just going in and selling like a voice agent do? It doesn't actually lead to the customer seeing real results. And so then you're going to fall into the same trap that you probably got into the space with in the SMA space, where you're like, oh, I'm just doing, let's say, the ads or lead generation. The customer is not going to they're going to churn because you're just doing one super part of the business. You're going to get snipped off immediately, and they're going to think you're useless. But the growth integrators that are really doing well, even just on your end, because you're growth integrating for a growth integrating offer at the end, but you're just a growth integrating offer that's a done for you. These guys are more of a done with you that you're integrating for. So now you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? Because previously it was just the communities. All right, like this is more abstract concept. It's a little bit difficult, but if you get it, you're like, holy shit, and you're gonna start making like bags and bags and bags. So right now, since you're positioning the offer of the creator as just a community and not as a growth integrating offer, not as a full stack offer, people are not buying. However, how you charge that like 15K, how you charge that 20K per sale, per customer is by positioning it as a growth integrator offer. What is that? That's when you tell them, hey, I'm going to fully integrate for you, not just the community, but the full stack, and then you also position it as a done for you right here. And so this is where you say, hey, I'm going to not just have the community for you, but also have the training material, also have consulting. And the biggest thing over here that you position your offer as, or your creator's offer in this case, would be also, I have all the systems that you need to scale, built out, done for you. So now you're like, okay, where does this tangibly occur? What are you saying here? All right. So if you look at who won the school games recently, and this is the growth integrator philosophy, guys. So even if you're a coach or consultant, this is where you can start implementing this or integrating this into your business, integrating the growth integrator offer. So recently, who won the school games? And I know this because we're like very much seeing who was competing, who was in the space. All right. There were two offers that were like really competing last month, December. And I know this because one of my good friends and also I guess / sort of students, Will and Tian was a student, just did like 330 grand. That's like the case study that I talked about earlier, right? Podcast coming soon. Check it on the channel. But this is where they launched a barber offer. All right, that was fine. They did like 300 grand with it, whatever. But the second competitor because like they were freaking fighting every single day. There's like two guys at the top. It was this painter offer. It was a biz op, like, hey, here's how to make 10K per month, or take your current painter business and then make a lot more with it. You know what his core positioning was? It was a growth integrator offer. It was, I will go and teach you how to, or I'll go and provide you all of the systems that are required to scale from a painter making like $5,000 a month to then a $50,000 a month painter business. And they would charge like a bunch of money. They would charge like 5K, 10K for it. See what I mean? So like already that offer validated. Another one, I'll tell you about that crypto offer. I have a friend right now. They just cleared like multiple 8 figures this month. Okay, I can't be too specific about it because they don't want me to talk about the numbers too much, right? But in that space, okay, multiple 7 figures in 1 month, all right? And what is their offer positioning? You know what really exploded them? Initially, they were just doing, okay, I'll help you, with the crypto. And I was like, it was just teaching the model. But then they started positioning it to like, I will entirely take the portfolio. I'll entirely take your crypto portfolio and like build it out for you. That was the positioning shift. Another one. I don't know if you guys know Cole Gordon. He is a pretty huge guy in this space. So he mostly targets like coaches and consultants. And then what he does is he helps implement, or more precisely, integrate for them. Guess what? Want my personal help scaling your business? Or the main thing over here that he pushes is staffing your sales team with setters and closers. I have gone through this product. I know people that have gone through this product. And of course, like there's ways to get the courses. It's mainly info. And then he just has that setter process or setter addition as like him, passing it off and fulfilling for that. But the main part of it is like the training process, because his logic is like, if you're going to properly integrate the setter into the company, you need the information on how to manage them. And it's true, like he's not capping at all. You need the proper systems, you need the proper knowledge to maintain that setter and then help them scale. But then the positioning is like hey, it's so easy to launch the setter offer, or like it's so easy to integrate the setter into your business because we're going to do it for you. You see what I mean? And this is like now, you could see how it's not just a freaking community, but a growth integrator offer like this, a full stack where you go in there and you place that, because it's not just the setter placement in the front end, it's also setter plus then helping them really scale the business in a holistic manner in the marketing, sales, fulfillment, and operations part. It's not just, I'll build out your crypto portfolio, but then in the process of it, it's like, hey, here's a holistic approach on like the full, I guess in a crypto sense, it'd be like investing, and then how to even set up the technology, whatever crypto looks like, because it's not just a business offer, right? And then same thing with the painter offer. It's I'll help you holistically, give you all the systems to scale your business with the marketing, sales, fulfillment, operations part. And so that is the growth integrator offer, guys. And so reality is people will not purchase unless they see that your solution, that your growth integrator solution most precisely, will solve all of the parts of your business, all of it. And so this is why like that growth integrator offer as a more done for you approach, where like you go to them as a growth integrator works. As like I am the noun growth integrator, but then as an adjective, a growth integrating offer, you see the difference there now. How do I integrate this into my company? So now that you understand what this growth integrator model is, you probably still have some doubts around like, well, why specifically in the creator space? To an extent, maybe you're sold, but you want to understand further why this creator space is converging with this AI space. Maybe you're less persuaded about that AI side. And so let me explain that. And then there's a few other concepts that allow you to really believe in this and be like, holy crap, this is the model that I'm going to crush it with. So if we look at the macro trends of what is going on, let me explain to you that, or like why it even converges into this creator economy for what occurs first. All right. So you're like, okay, I'm sold on this creator economy part, but like, why AI? Why this other side? Cool. So if we look at what overall is occurring in the marketplace, if you want to just see why AI, you can look at Google Trends right now, and then you can look at, let's see, AI, that search term. Okay, obviously A is high, but AI, cool. And then do you want to look at creator? You see the difference? So you're like, I don't want to touch AI. Like, I don't want to integrate it. I'm not good with this stuff. Really? Like, look at this shit. Look at this difference. So like, if you're just leveraging this part in your offer, in your trend, I'm just helping creators. Where do you think you're going to happen? Where do you think you're going to be in like multiple years? I'm still confident that this is going to grow. Like this is going to still peak as you see the curve here, right? But this is so much of a bigger super cycle. And so you're like, well, why is this? What is even a super cycle? Like, what is going on? Okay. So this is like how this occurred, or this is why when this happens now, when like this AI stuff starting to happen, you have to get in early. You have to get in earlier. early. So a lot of us probably here, you're watching this and you're a bit younger, okay? And so if you're older, then you would have understood these super cycles. So now this is probably like a refresher for you. See, when the space overall of just online occurred, it was when the internet first took off and exploded. People thought it was a fad. It was the same cycle that occurred. It always goes, it's that curve of adoption curve, right? People are not aware of it. They're like, stupid, oh, this is stupid. And then boom, like, holy crap, this is actually legit. And like, it's starting to happen, right? And then now like everyone, the large majority, they start adopting it over here. And we're here with the internet. Cool. And then what happened? People were like, oh, this is a fad with what? Boom, guess what? Mobile. That was the next super cycle, people being interested. And then afterwards, what happened? And then it was cloud compute. This is probably where like it doesn't make an exact parallel to what you're talking about, but I'll explain to you cloud compute. Basically, cloud compute is like this stuff. This Lucid Spark would have never existed, or Notion. Because previously, what was it? It was like Word documents. Microsoft was winning there. And what was that? It was an application downloaded on the computer. And then you'd be typing away on the computer, and then the words over here, they'd be held on something like your own, like on the disk drive of the actual computer. But then what happened was afterwards, it now got on this digital stuff. Or when I say digital, as in like, I can shoot this video. And now like, do you guys watch video when you download it, as previously it used to be with like VHS tapes and CDs? Or are you watching it through streaming, through a cloud service, through something like AWS, or Google has their own Google Cloud services, and then they hold it in their databases. And since Wi-Fi and all these different connectivity systems are so good now, that it could just be streamed right to your, guess what? You're probably watching this on the phone or on the classic internet, which is on your computer. Boom. And so now we've come to an age where these three types of compute have come together and we're all using them together. And you know what the next super cycle is? It's AI. It's when AI, because now people are not adopting it as much, boom, over here, and then boom, like it's starting to explode over here. It's going to start going over and everyone's going to start integrating it into their business. AI. And this is where you're now like realizing, because what do you leverage as even you going into the creators and then helping them out? Right now they're leveraging this cloud compute stuff. They're leveraging mobile, and they're also leveraging the classic internet. But then soon you see like the AI creators starting to happen. And like, this is where the money's made, because like even here, I don't exactly know. Like sure, the creators are working on it on their workflows, and they're working on it in other places in their business, probably in like the scripting, etc. But like, where will now they exactly be integrating into their business? I don't know. This is where like you have to be the person to identify this and start rapidly bringing this into the business and just crushing it for them. Boom. And this is where all of these converge together. And if you're late, then you're going to not be able to leverage this and just kill yourself. So good luck. And so then hopefully that super cycle concept made sense. And now this also goes into just education market trends overall. I mean, you understand this, universities, they're all dead, they're all dying. Boom, they're going to die. And all that attention is now flowing over here, and they're interested in learning, or not just learning, but having all the systems. Because what does university do? They provide the community, they also provide the consulting or the coaching, because in the classes, they have the homework, which then what? It's like practice on the systems, boom, which converges all over here. So that's obvious. And the growth integrator space trends, overall, it's that previously, imagine, once again, another term, people didn't like this growth operator word. So why the frick are you still using it? Like, use your brain. And so now, how do you go about doing this? Because now you're pretty like, okay, I want to do this growth integrator model. You're probably pretty sold now. And so the biggest thing here, a new paradigm around how this growth integrator model works is that you following this focus of simplicity, or this principle of simplicity and focus. I would very much recommend that you initially focus on one creator to integrate for, and you do that full done for you service, because if not, you don't understand like how this entire system works, and you'll really be kicked off from the people that get it, that get the whole picture. And also then, since they get the whole picture, they're able to leverage AI in the most effective way. Then afterwards, what you're going to do is laser focus on more. So instead of sporadic pump and dumps and building no sort of sustainable business, is where a lot of you guys are doing it, you focus on the ability to be able to frame yourself in this growth integrating model, not just building communities, not just having this mess of a pitch. And then since you're able to do that, this is why personally for us, we get like 30 to 50% revenue shares of the company. Okay. And so now you're like, okay, I get this picture. I want to do it. I know how to do it. Or you don't fully know how to do it, but you're like, I get a rough concept. I understand it. But now you're like, is this for me? Who am I? What do I need to be able to get into this space? Because I want to crush it here. And so the first concept here is if you're a high ticket sales rep, most specifically right now, you're probably setting and dialing and on calls 24/7, and you have no time to think or build out these other skill sets because you're calling and you're like, what the frick am I doing every single day? I am literally just a bot. I'm just doing this all the time. And then you fear, because initially you got into space, you're probably an entrepreneur, you're probably maybe in the SMA space or whatever. But then you wanted to be an entrepreneur who was like crushing it with this. And you had that initial desire, but you have this fear. You're like, will I ever be able to get into that space? Because I'm scared that I'll never be able to make the money that I want because I'm just always here, freaking setting and dialing. I'm getting no other skill sets that when I came into this space, you also fear then that if you don't gain the other skill sets to become the full stack entrepreneur, you'll never make the money. And therefore you'll never have the time freedom that you've always wanted. And so since you're hunting for the next sale, you're always just in this short-term hunting mode, never thinking long-term. And you know that in business, in order to really succeed, you have to think long-term. Like this is probably hitting you if you're this high ticket sales rep right now because you've already been thinking through this stuff and you're like, how the frick do I combine my skill sets into this model? And so you're now closing, let's say 3 to 10K deals also. And you're just like, oh shoot, that CEO, they just made $5,000 from that. And I made $600. Lol. And the CEO didn't do shit. And I only get 12%. And you understand this concept of leverage where what you want to be at is a point where you put in just a little bit and you get super high returns versus if you're here right now, you're unleveraged. You're like trying to pull all this energy that you need to take to close a sale and you're getting this little bit out. Really? You want to be here? You want to really stay here? And so you're realizing you're not leveraged enough. And so you want to get into a model that gets you that. And over here, boom, you want to get into a model that builds out those skill sets for you. If, once again, you're setting dialing and you want to build out more skill sets because you know as an entrepreneur, you need to do all of those things. And finally, the third point here is if you're closing, but you just must ninja maneuver around a product that you have no control over. I've heard this a lot too. We just feel like shit. You feel like let me be really real with you. If you're feeling this right now, be honest with yourself. Because you got into the space because you want to create an impact, you want to help people, but right now, are you scamming people or not? Is the product you're selling good or not? Be really honest with yourself. Imagine you had control over that. You were the one who owned the offer. How much more would you not have this freaking pain point? Okay? And so with each dollar, you feel like there's more blood and more blood and more blood on your hands. You're like, holy crap, what the hell is the karma gods? I don't know, who cares about religion or whatever? Like, what the heck is the universe going to do to me? Or God? Or Buddha, or Allah, if I have all this blood on my hands. And so you want to be in a model where you have ownership of at least assisting in the delivery of the product, since you have a connection, very deeper connection to the core offer runner as being the full service growth integrated partner. And you want to feel good selling what you deliver. But here's the thing, if you have these killer closing skill sets, so that setting and triaging are ideal too, to have it in here, because you probably went from a setter to triage or SDR to then a closer. You want to have all those skills together. If you have a rough background on marketing specifically or if you consumed a lot of content around marketing, that's content marketing and paid ads marketing, and you're like, I have a high level understanding, I want to execute, because you know that just watching shit isn't going to actually make you learn. Doing it is. And you're also a bit technical. Maybe previously, when you dropship before, you've built out some sort of Shopify stores. Maybe when you ran an agency before, you try to build out a website. And you mess around with these different software tools. This stuff will put you at a hyper strong advantage if you want to get into this growth integrator model. So if you're here and you have these thought processes, the only logical step to do is start moving here faster. Because I also hear this. I'll explain these parts a little bit later. But if you're at this point, this will just resonate with you, even if you're a copywriter, agency owner, coach, consultant, blah, blah. Like, People are like, I don't want to get into space because I want to learn this stuff first. Oh, and I want to get to this better. Or I want to get better at this. Like, here's the thing. Do you think someone like Elon Musk is like very, very good at building rockets? Or do you think he's very, very good at building neurochips for his company Neuralink? Or do you think he's a good generalist and he brings in all the people together who are the geniuses and has them do the work for him and is the leader and is a person on top of that? Or do you think he's just like a master at one thing with I'm just a master at sales, or I'm just a master at copywriting, or master at content with content agency? No, right? He is this person who can bring those people in because he has a high level understanding of them. It's what's called this full stack person, or a T-shaped person. Because I wouldn't be sitting here saying this stuff if like Elon Musk to you, if like the wealthiest person in the world, if you look at Jeff Bezos, if you look at freaking Mark Zuckerberg, if you look at all these people, if they were just really good at coding or just really good at sales, I would tell you to go do that transparently. But they're not. Like, you want to get to multi-millions, right? Don't you want to have generational wealth? Don't you want to have freaking a lot of money? Not just a little bit of money. Then you have to get this stuff early. You have to be this person early. You have to break this belief and be like, I am going to be the person that can get this wide understanding of knowledge. So then start becoming that CEO, to start becoming that generalist. Like, people have such a stupid perception of this. And so if that is true, what benefit does it give you to keep, I want to build a skill set? Really, what benefit does it give you? Nothing. So it only makes sense to get started with this now, to start merging into this model now, to start learning about it more, or getting help from someone who's done it before now. Gosh, I hear this so much. Okay, so then also on the copywriting end, if you're writing all day and you have no ability to express or build out the other skill sets in your life, and you're bogged down with all of the work that your clients keep looking for you and are just sick and tired of the inability to affect the other areas of the business, because just copywriting things won't fully affect the business's growth. You know it. And you're just running this copywriting agency, and you realize to get people actual results, you need to eventually have a team of 100 plus copywriters that sound impossible. And you're hearing that, you're like, holy crap, I'm not gonna freaking do that. And you know that it's gonna be impossible to get to the point where they're as good as copywriting as you are. And you're like, what do I need to do to train this army of copywriters? And when even one copywriter, they're not as good as you. You're like, how do I train these people? And so the thing here though, but then you're having over here an experience writing in this information/education space already, and you have a passion for this creator economy. You're probably over here like an email copywriter or an email copywriting agency, and you have a passion for this creator economy as well. And especially you're skilled in email, long-form sales letter copywriting reels, IG captions, YouTube video scripts, ad scripts, things like that. If you have these skills, this will give you a huge leg up over here. And let's say, for instance, if you're an agency owner and you're split across multiple different niches, this is the hugest thing I see. You're like, okay, because here's the thing for you guys. You guys have like that wide set of skills, but this is also where the concept of now focus comes in. Because over here, you're focused on becoming, you're too focused almost. You have to strike that balance. Like, you're too focused on just one skill, which then in the long term will hurt you. But over here, you have to be focused on, you're too unfocused, as in you have a good spectrum of like, all right, I have this wide set of skill sets, number one. And number two, the problem is that you're too unfocused. You're going on the whole other end of the spectrum where you have multiple niches, multiple clients, no systematized fulfillment for them. You're just doing random shit for them. And you have one key man risk, let's say one client who's probably giving you the most amount of your money on the retainer. And you're basically just a glorified employee in your client's business, and you want to actually get clients financial returns instead of just selling them one commoditized service. But over here, you're having one, if not of these multiple skill sets, such as ads, content, copywriting, let's say closing, setting automations. So automations, what I'm saying is Go High Level, Make.com, Zapier, ManyChat. And you have web development skills as well. Let's say you built it on Go High Level, ClickFunnels, or other web builders. You already have the skill set. You have the skills, bro, to make so much more money. What the fuck are you doing? Okay? And you're good at email marketing, long-form sales copy. Ideally, you want to have one or multiple of these skills. All right. You have a desire to grow beyond just your current skill sets because you know that scaling a large company requires you to become a master of none, but a hyper generalist. And in your current vehicle, you don't feel like you're doing that. And you know that gaining all these skills to become a true CEO, head in a large company, then will allow you to not just have a slave glorified job that you're having right now, but true generational wealth that lasts beyond even your children. You want true freedom. Actually, because you're saying, oh, I have freedom right now. Okay, sure, you get to travel maybe sometimes. Okay, sure, maybe you can take off work sometimes if you don't feel like it. But can you take off work for like a year? 2 years? No, you can't. And what is the difference between someone who can do that and can't? Well, it's the growth integrator model. And if you're a coach or consultant, let's say, and you're doing backflips right now on social media platforms, and you're just running ads on here, running ads here and there, and you're shooting emails into the void of your list, and you're doing everything the gurus are telling you to do, but you're confused on why at the end of month, your cash collected is still not going up. But you see with this growth integrating model that since you're leveraging another creator or coach, their existing audience, you're able to not need to do this stuff. But then here the pain point or the idea over here with the coach or consultant is that you're trying to do too much, especially when you're starting out. Because when I'm saying coach or consultant here, I'm targeting more so you guys that like just went right into this space. You're like trying to become a guru immediately. This shit doesn't work. It doesn't. Why? Because over here, you're not in a playing field where you've gained those skill sets. Because I do recommend to have a wider net of skill sets. But you also need to be in an environment where those skill sets can be developed in a proper way. This is why over here, I'm targeting you guys that are further in the journey of like info, sales rep, copywriter, further in the journey. Over here with the agency owners, when I'm referring to you guys over here, I'm referring to the ones that have done this for too long and now you're realizing over here that you want to systematize it into one exact business. Over here, I'm targeting more so the beginner in the coach or consultant space, where you're like, I am doing a frick ton of things, and mostly I'm just creating content. But I need to build out these other skill sets, and how the frick do I do that? Well, it's freaking with this growth integrator model, going to this other creator who already has an audience, because you're trying to build an audience and you're trying to do a freaking entire fulfillment system and sales, and it's just like you're literally about to freaking suffocate doing all this stuff. So this is why you go to, you split those two skill sets with the creator on one side, who is doing that guru stuff, and on the other side, where you now build out your back-end skill sets. And so this is where this growth integrator model happens for you. And another point is that secretly, you're thinking your model is just tons of, okay, collect the cash on the front end, and then you're like, oh, okay, I made the money, and then you're just gonna burn bridges. Because you feel and you realize secretly you're not selling people. Because right now, you're like thinking, okay, I wanna fulfill, but the thing is like, I can't. And so in order to meet the monthly rents though, or the monthly payments or the monthly expenses that you need to make, I need to freaking just collect cash and whatever. I'll solve fulfillment on the back end. I'll figure it out. But at the end, you're secretly not selling people right now because you know that once they come in your group, they're going to be disappointed. And you may stay up all night worrying about your reputation being at risk at one point and people all just turning against you. But you see with this growth integrator model, since you leverage another creator or expert's brand, the fulfillment on their end is good because they're an expert. And then you are just crushing it because you are doing what you're best at, which is that customer acquisition, the offer, the marketing, the sales. And you're also realizing over here that now you're basically a friendship as a service right now provider. And you see no path to be able to pull yourself out of the fulfillment. You're just like on coaching calls one day after another. You're like, oh my God, how the frick do I systematize this? And how the heck do I get my clients results is what you'd be saying. But you see, with this growth integrating model, since you're integrating in with an expert that already has the knowledge to provide a great service, plus partnering up with someone or in a situation where you can now focus on exactly what you're best at, which is that marketing and sales level. But having, once again, the skills to crush it with client acquisition, you're a killer closer, let's say you're elegant at content and you're eloquent at copywriting. If you even have skills with ads, let's say, this growth integrating model is for you. And if you're a physical service-based business owner and you're running around in circles right now, all of your clients are left and right, you need to help all of them. And you realize also that you have zero location freedom. This is for those of you who are more door-to-door salespeople, have scaled some sort of business like a window cleaning one, a landscaping one, things like that. Okay, you're running around in circles left and right, and you realize that you have zero location freedom from your business, and you want to travel, but the physical nature of your business is tying you down. And you know, sure, you can scale your current business. But what's the point if you don't have the ability to enjoy your life? But then you're having the realization, and this is where this is a little bit different to you guys. Okay, so if you go ahead and attack this growth integrator model, this is how you'd be doing it. Because you're going to have the realization right now where you have untapped, because you know that you have an untapped amount of potential with the amount of insights that you've gained in your HVAC, in your window cleaning, med spa, nail tech, esthetician, barbering, etc., brick and mortar business. That maybe let's say it's brick and mortar, but more so it's probably like door-to-door sales and it's a service-based business. Okay, physical service. And along with your expertise with marketing and sales, because you're good at that, you know that you're going to have a solid base of customer acquisition skills. Where if you take those abilities and then bring it to another creator, let's say in a similar space, this is where you're like, oh shit. And also, they have a following, let's say, and you launch a program for them, you launch that growth integrator offer, you know that you can make both bank since you're serving as that advantaged, because you're a hyper advantaged growth integrator over here. And then the creator in this space who has accumulated the following, they'll immediately be attracted to you because of your background, hence creating a strong partnership. An example here is one of the students that we brought in. He got a $5,000 setup fee and a 30% revenue share. It was this prior doctor who was, or going down this doctor path when they're like, I want to start a business, I want to get into this space. And so then he reached out to a esthetician. An esthetician is a girl that teaches other, or right now she's just doing her face care for other people, right, at her clinic. And then she charges, let's say like, older women who want to get their face cleaned, they charge like, let's say $500 for one esthetician service to make their face pretty. Cool. And so that was what the space he went into, because he was able to sell to that creator so well and then also launch for them so fast because he had gained the skill sets prior. Let's say you're a window cleaning person. That type of person, you have incredible skill sets because guess what? You have the sales already, door to door. Let's say you have the door-to-door sales skill sets, you have the marketing skill sets to run ads for your own company. You just now take those skill sets and then you just bring it over, guess what, into a creator who's talking about window cleaning, who already has a following and they just haven't launched a program yet. This is where oh my God, the money just comes like that. Because you have all the skill sets, you have all the insights in the window cleaning space. You just can now scale a company to the long term to like 500 grand, $1 million a month to just dominate in that business as a partnership. So overall though, I recommend now getting into this now to build the skill sets necessary, and the ROI is incredible in the long term. Because think about it. Let's say you're probably 20 to 30 right now. Okay. You have 7 to 8 years in total to make 10-year long decisions because you're going to probably die at like 70 or 80. All right. If you're 20 or even 30 right now, you have, what is that? 2 to 3 minus this. You have 4 to 6 long-term decisions left. And you probably lost 2 of those right now, 2 to 3 of those. And so the question is, because you see these little 16-year-old kids making so much more money, and you're now wondering like, will you make a long-term decision when you have only a few of them left and it's a lot more riskier, or will you do it now when you have more options, more chances to make these long-term decisions? So you can then build up the skill sets to take yourself from this position to then this position in a hyper asymmetric angle and get the returns for the long term. Hence, does it not only make sense to take this action now and freaking execute on this model immediately, identify as the growth integrator, realize you are now, and freaking crush it with this? And so now you're like, how do I crush it? Well, guess what? If you want to see how we can help you transition into this growth integrator model, go down below into the first link and book in a demo there, where we will give you a full breakdown, full free breakdown on how you can implement this yourself. It's either going to be myself or a team member on the Integrator Incubator is what our company is called, the Integrator Incubator Business. All right, one of our team members from Double I. But if you want to learn how to go ahead and implement this yourself, here's a full 6-hour course right here that I dropped on actionably how to execute upon this. So either book in a call down below. I'd probably recommend that. It'll be much faster for you to expedite expedite your speed to go into this growth integrator model. So then afterwards, my team or myself will be in touch with you, or I'll see you right here in this video in 3, 2, 1. See you soon.